Standing in the corner of my brother Derek's promotion party, champagne glass trembling in hand, I watched him raise his glass for a toast. "To my little sister Carol," he announced, grinning. "Just got fired from her 4th job this year. Maybe she should try stripping. At least she's got the figure for it." Our father laughed. At least she'd finally be good at something. The room erupted in laughter. Then the restaurant door opened. Marcus Blackwell, CEO of Blackwell Industries, walked in. His eyes locked on me. The laughter died in waves as people noticed Marcus standing in the doorway. He was impossible to miss. 6 feet 2 inches of controlled power in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than my rent. Every head in the room turned, following his gaze straight to where I stood frozen against the wall. My stomach dropped. I knew Marcus Blackwell. I knew him very well. 3 months ago, I had been his director of strategic development at Blackwell Industries. I had reported directly to him, sat in executive meetings, handled merger negotiations worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And then one day, I was called into HR and told my position was being eliminated. No explanation, no warning, just a severance check and an escort to the parking lot. Derek spotted Marcus and his face lit up like Christmas morning. He practically bounced across the room, hand extended. "Mr. Blackwell! Sir! This is such an honor! I'm Derek Parker, your regional sales manager in the Northeast Division. I had no idea you'd be joining us tonight." Marcus brushed past Derek's outstretched hand without even glancing at him. He walked straight toward me, his expression unreadable. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. "Miss Parker," he said when he reached me, his voice cold and formal. "I didn't expect to see you here." My mouth went dry. "Mr. Blackwell." I could say the same. Derek hustled over, confusion written all over his face. "You two know each other?" "Your sister used to work for me," Marcus said, still looking at me with those sharp gray eyes. "Until she left rather suddenly." "Left?" I couldn't help myself. "I was fired." "You resigned," Marcus corrected smoothly. "After certain irregularities came to light." My heart started pounding. "What irregularities?" Marcus pulled out his phone and tapped the screen a few times, then turned it toward the crowd. "Carol Parker accessed and downloaded confidential company files the day before she resigned. Merger data, client lists, proprietary strategic plans. Everything was copied to an external drive." The room gasped. I felt the blood drain from my face. "That's not true," I whispered. "I never did that." "The digital footprint is quite clear." Marcus swiped through screens, showing timestamps, file names, access logs, your employee credentials, your computer, your login times. Derek stepped forward, and I saw something flash across his face. Something that looked almost like satisfaction. "Mr. Blackwell, I am so sorry. I had no idea my sister was capable of something like this." "I didn't do it!" My voice came out too loud, too desperate. "Someone must have used my account. This is a setup." "A setup?" Marcus raised one eyebrow. "Miss Parker, Blackwell Industries has been pursuing legal action against you for 3 months. We have been attempting to serve you with a lawsuit, but you've been avoiding our process servers." "What lawsuit?" "I never received anything about a lawsuit." $2 million in damages," Marcus continued, as if I hadn't spoken. "Plus criminal charges for corporate espionage. We expect you to face significant prison time." The room erupted in whispers. I saw people pulling away from me, literally taking steps backward as if I were contagious. My father stood up from his table, his face red with anger. "Carol, Ann Parker, what have you done?" "Nothing! Dad, I swear I didn't steal anything." "The evidence is overwhelming," Marcus said. He looked at Derek. "I apologize that your family celebration has been disrupted by this matter. We'll be contacting Miss Parker through her attorney." He glanced at me. "You do have an attorney, I assume?" I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. 3 months ago, I had walked out of Blackwell Industries confused and hurt, wondering what I had done wrong. Now I knew. I was being accused of corporate theft, of being a criminal. My phone buzzed in my purse. I pulled it out with shaking hands and saw text messages flooding in. Former colleagues from Blackwell Industries. People I'd worked with for 5 years. "Is it true? I can't believe you'd do this." "Vetrusted you." How did they already know? How was this spreading so fast? Marcus turned to leave, and Derek followed him toward the door, talking rapidly. "Sir, I want you to know, I had no idea about any of this. My sister and I aren't close. I've always been committed to Blackwell Industries. If there's anything I can do to help with the investigation..." I watched them go, Marcus's tall frame disappearing through the restaurant door, with my brother practically jogging to keep up. The other guests had started gathering their things, making excuses, avoiding my eyes. The party was over. My mother appeared at my side, her face pale. "Carol, tell me this isn't real." "Mom, I promise you, I never stole anything. I don't understand what's happening. Your brother said you'd been acting strange before you lost that job. He said you'd been stressed, paranoid." Derek said what? But she was already walking away, following my father toward the exit. I stood alone in the middle of the emptying restaurant, champagne glass still in my hand, watching my life collapse around me. My phone rang. "Unknown number," I answered without thinking. "Miss Parker? This is Janet Wilson from Blackwell Industries Legal Department. We need to schedule a time for you to come in and discuss these allegations. If you refuse to cooperate, we'll have no choice but to pursue criminal charges immediately." "I need a lawyer," I managed to say. "That would be wise. We'll be in touch." She hung up. I sank into the nearest chair. Around me, waiters were starting to clean up, stacking plates, folding napkins. The party decorations suddenly looked pathetic. A banner that read, "Congratulations, Derek," hung crooked above the bar. Derek, my older brother by 3 years. We'd grown up competing for everything. Best grades, most friends, our parents' approval. I'd thought we'd outgrown that childhood rivalry. But now, sitting in this emptying restaurant, I remembered something. A few months before I lost my job at Blackwell Industries, Derek had applied for a director-level position at the company. He'd asked me to put in a good word, and I had refused because I didn't think he was qualified. Had he been angry enough about that to do this? No, that was crazy thinking. Derek was my brother, family. He wouldn't frame me for corporate espionage just because I didn't help him get a promotion. Would he? I pulled out my wallet to pay for my champagne and realized I needed to leave before someone called the police. As I walked toward the door, I heard whispers following me. "That's her. Corporate thief. I always thought there was something off about her." Outside, the evening air hit me like a slap. I walked toward my car on shaking legs, fumbling for my keys. That's when I noticed the orange sticker on my windshield. Towed away zone. Expired registration. My car had been towed. I stood there on the dark street, my car gone, my reputation destroyed, facing a lawsuit I couldn't afford to fight, and I had no idea how I was going to get home. My phone buzzed again. Another text from a former colleague. "How could you?" I turned off my phone and started walking toward the bus stop 6 blocks away, my heels clicking on the pavement, tears streaming down my face. The bus ride home took 45 minutes. I sat in the back, still in my dress, makeup smeared, while teenagers laughed too loud in the front and a man who smelled like cheap beer muttered to himself across the aisle. Every time the bus stopped, I flinched, half expecting police to board and arrest me right there. When I finally climbed the 3 flights of stairs to my apartment, I found my father waiting outside my door. "Dad?" For a moment, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe he'd come to tell me he believed me. "How did you?" "I have a key," he said flatly. "From when you had surgery last year and needed someone to check on you." "Oh, right." I unlocked my door, and he followed me inside. "Dad, I know how this looks, but I swear to you, I never stole anything from Blackwell Industries. Someone set me up." He stood in my small living room, looking around at my second-hand furniture and bargain store decorations, his expression hard. "Your brother showed me something tonight. After you left." My stomach tightened. "What?" He pulled out his phone and started swiping through screenshots. "Emails from your company account. Messages where you badmouth Blackwell Industries. Call Marcus Blackwell an idiot. Say you're planning to steal clients and start your own competing firm." "I never wrote those. They came from your email address, Carol. Someone hacked my account. Dad, please, you have to believe me." He kept scrolling. "Photos of you meeting with people from Tech Vision Corp. That's Blackwell's biggest competitor." I looked at the photo he held up. It showed me sitting at a bar with a man I'd never seen before. But it was definitely me. Same hair, same jacket I owned. I've never met that person in my life. "Where did Derek get this?" "He said he's been worried about you for months. Said you've been acting erratic." "Erratic?" "Dad, Derek and I barely talk. How would he know how I've been acting?" My father's jaw tightened. "Maybe that's part of the problem. Derek says you've been jealous of his success, that you resented him working at the same company." "Jealous?" I almost laughed. I was a director. Derek is in sales. Was a director. my father corrected quietly. Now you're unemployed and facing criminal charges. The words hit like a physical blow. I sat down hard on my couch. So, you believe him. You believe Derek over me. Derek has evidence, Carol. Screenshots, photos, testimony from your former coworkers. What coworkers? He showed us statements from 3 people who said you were acting suspicious, staying late, accessing files you shouldn't have. Names. Give me names. I don't remember. But Derek has them. He put his phone away. Your mother is heartbroken. She cried the whole drive home. Mom knows I wouldn't do this. Does she? My father looked at me with something close to pity. Carol, you've had 4 jobs in the past 2 years. You get fired from every single one. At some point, you have to ask yourself if maybe the problem is you. I felt something crack inside my chest. Get out, Carol. Get out of my apartment. I stood up, voice shaking. If you think I'm a liar and a criminal, I don't want you here. He walked to the door, then paused. Derek said you might react like this. He said you'd play the victim. He pulled something from his pocket and set it on my kitchen counter. He also said you'd probably need this. After he left, I looked at what he'd left behind. A business card for a defense attorney. Derek's friend, apparently. Someone who specialized in white-collar crime. I picked up the card and tore it into pieces. My phone rang. I'd turned it back on during the bus ride. The caller ID showed my mother. Hello? How could you do this to us? Her voice was thick with tears. We sacrificed everything to put you through college. Your father worked double shifts. I took a second job. And this is how you repay us? Mom, I didn't. Do you know how humiliating it was? Standing in that restaurant while everyone whispered about our daughter, the thief? Your brother's boss was there, Carol. Derek's colleagues. People he has to work with every single day. Derek's colleagues? Mom, this is about Derek's reputation. This is about our family. Do you know what it's like to have people look at you with pity? To wonder what we did wrong raising you? You didn't do anything wrong. Because I didn't do anything wrong. Then explain the evidence. I can't. I don't know how Derek got those emails and photos, but they're fake. Someone is framing me. Oh, Carol. My mother sighed. A sound of deep disappointment. Derek said you'd have conspiracy theories. He mentioned you've been acting paranoid. Have you been seeing your therapist? My therapist. 2 years ago, after a bad breakup, I'd gone to therapy for 6 months to work through some trust issues. It had been helpful, normal, but now my mother was using it as evidence that I was unstable. This has nothing to do with therapy. Maybe it has everything to do with it. Maybe you've been under more stress than you realized. Maybe you made some bad decisions and now you can't admit it. I didn't do anything. Then why does Derek have so much proof? The question hung in the air. Why did Derek have so much proof? How did my brother, who worked in a completely different department at Blackwell Industries, have access to my emails, my photos, statements from my coworkers, unless he was the one who created them? Mom, I think Derek is behind this. I think he set me up. Silence. Then, how dare you accuse your brother? Derek has done nothing but try to help you. He's the successful one, the stable one. Why would he risk everything to hurt you? I don't know. But, no, I'm not listening to this. Your father and I have decided. Until you take responsibility for what you've done, until you show real remorse, you're not welcome in our home. Don't call us. Don't come by. We need time. You're disowning me? We're setting boundaries. Maybe if you face consequences for once in your life, you'll finally grow up. She hung up. I stood in my kitchen, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to the dial tone. My parents, my own parents, had chosen Derek's word over mine. They'd chosen his manufactured evidence over their own daughter's truth. I looked around my apartment. The rent was due in 3 days. I had $400 in my bank account. No job, no family support, and a $2 million lawsuit hanging over my head. My phone buzzed with a text from Derek. I told them you'd deny everything. Get help, sis, before you end up in prison. I threw my phone across the room. It hit the wall and clattered to the floor, screen cracking. Then I sank onto my couch and cried until I couldn't breathe. Great heaving sobs that shook my whole body. This couldn't be happening. This had to be a nightmare I'd wake up from. But when I finally stopped crying hours later, I was still in my apartment. Still alone. Still accused of a crime I didn't commit. And I had no idea how to prove my innocence. I woke up the next morning on my couch, still in my dress from the party, my face swollen from crying. For one blissful moment, I forgot everything. Then reality crashed back and I wanted to crawl back into unconsciousness. My cracked phone screen showed 7 missed calls from unknown numbers. I played the voicemails on speaker while I made coffee with shaking hands. Miss Parker, this is the law offices of Richardson and Banks. We've been retained by Blackwell Industries. Please contact us immediately to arrange. Carol Parker, you are required to appear. This is a final notice before we file criminal charges. I deleted them all and drank my coffee black because I'd run out of milk 3 days ago and couldn't afford to buy more. The registered letter arrived at 9 in the morning. I signed for it with a sense of doom, knowing before I opened it what it would say. Official lawsuit. Blackwell Industries versus Carol Ann Parker. $2 million in damages for corporate espionage, breach of contract, theft of trade secrets. Criminal charges pending. Court dates in 10 days. 10 days to find a lawyer. 10 days to somehow prove my innocence. 10 days before my life ended. I spent the morning calling every law office in the city. The conversations followed a depressing pattern. I need a lawyer. I'm being sued by my former employer for corporate espionage. Do you have a retainer fee? How much would that be? For a case like this? Minimum $50,000 to start. I had $400. By noon, I'd been rejected by 15 attorneys. Most hung up when I said I couldn't afford the retainer. 2 actually laughed. I needed a job. Any job. Immediately. I pulled out my laptop and started applying everywhere. Retail stores, coffee shops, restaurants. Anything that would give me a paycheck while I figured out how to fight this lawsuit. But when I searched my name online, my heart stopped. The top 3 results were articles about me. Former Blackwell Industries director accused of corporate espionage. Tech company sues employee for $2 million after data theft. Carol Parker. From rising star to criminal charges. My LinkedIn profile had been hacked. Where my professional headshot used to be, there was now a photo of someone who looked like me but with devil horns photoshopped on. My job description had been changed to professional corporate spy. Every job application I'd submitted that morning would lead potential employers to these articles. To this nightmare version of my professional profile. I tried to log into LinkedIn to fix it, but my password didn't work. Someone had changed it and locked me out of my own account. My phone rang. A number I didn't recognize, but I was desperate enough to answer. Carol? It's Beth. Beth Reynolds. From Blackwell Industries. Beth. We'd started at Blackwell the same week 5 years ago, bonded over terrible coffee in the break room, celebrated promotions together. I hadn't heard from her since I'd been fired. Beth, thank God. Did you see what they're accusing me of? I did. Her voice was quiet. Carol, I need to tell you something, but I'm taking a huge risk even calling you. What is it? Derek has been spreading rumors about you at the company for months. Since March or April. Way before you got fired. My blood ran cold. What kind of rumors? That you were stealing clients. That you were planning to leave and start a competitor company. That you were bad-mouthing Marcus and the executive team. None of that is true. I know. But Derek was convincing. He showed people emails, supposedly, from your account. He told people you'd confessed things to him. And Carol, I saw him going into your office after hours. Multiple times. Before you got fired. Did you tell anyone? I tried. But Derek has connections. His girlfriend works in IT. His girlfriend? Derek's married. Not anymore. His wife Amanda filed for divorce 8 months ago. Derek's been dating someone new. Her name is Jennifer Hart. She's a systems administrator. Jennifer Hart. The name triggered a memory. Wait, Jennifer Hart? She was my assistant. She left the company right after I did. Left? Beth's voice dropped to a whisper. Carol, Jennifer got promoted. She's a senior IT administrator now. She has access to everything. All the servers, all the employee accounts. My mind raced. Jennifer had been my assistant for 2 years. She'd had my passwords because I needed her to access my calendar, my emails, my files. We'd trusted each other. Or I'd thought we had. Beth, are you saying Derek and Jennifer worked together to frame me? I'm saying it's suspicious. And Carol, there's more. Derek applied for your director position. The day after you were fired. He's been campaigning for it hard. Did he get it? Not yet. But Marcus is considering him. Derek's been playing the hero, talking about how he uncovered the security breach, how he's committed to protecting the company. I felt sick. He's going to get my job. It looks that way. Unless. Beth hesitated. Unless someone proves Derek was the actual thief. Can you help me? Can you testify? Carol, I have 3 kids. I can't lose this job. If Derek finds out I talked to you, he'll make sure I'm fired. He's done it to other people who questioned him. Please, Beth. I'm facing prison time for something I didn't do. I'm sorry. I really am. But I can't risk it. She hung up. I sat staring at my phone. Derek and Jennifer. Derek, who'd always resented my success. Jennifer, who had access to all my passwords and files. They'd been planning this for months. Creating fake emails, planting false evidence, building a perfect frame job. And now Derek was positioned to take everything I'd worked for. I tried to contact Marcus Blackwell directly. Called his office, emailed his assistant, even tried to message him on LinkedIn before I remembered my account was hacked. His assistant finally called me back. Mr. Blackwell has been advised by his legal team not to communicate with you, Miss Parker. All contact must go through Blackwell Industries attorneys. I just need 5 minutes to explain. Any further attempts to contact Mr. Blackwell will be considered harassment and may result in a restraining order. Do you understand? I understood. I was completely shut out. That afternoon, I tried accessing my old work files through my personal cloud backup. Maybe I could find something, anything, that would prove Derek was lying. Every file was gone. My entire cloud storage had been wiped clean. Not just deleted, wiped, as if it had never existed. I called the cloud storage company. Someone deleted all my files. Can you restore them? When were they deleted? I don't know. Recently. I'm checking your account. Ma'am, it shows here that you personally authorized a complete data wipe last night at 11:32 p.m. I didn't authorize anything. I was asleep. The authorization came from your account, using your password and your registered device. What registered device? Your laptop, the one you're calling from right now. Someone had remotely accessed my laptop while I slept and destroyed my only backup of evidence. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. Can you recover anything? I'm sorry, ma'am. A full data wipe is permanent. Everything is gone. I hung up and immediately unplugged my laptop, turned off my phone's Wi-Fi. But it was too late. They'd already taken everything. Derek hadn't just framed me. He'd systematically destroyed any way I could defend myself. That evening, my landlord knocked on my door. He held an eviction notice. You're 3 weeks behind on rent, Carol. I need payment in full by tomorrow, or you'll have to vacate in 72 hours. I lost my job. I'm trying to find work, but I sympathize. But I have bills too. Tomorrow, $1,500 or you're out. $1,500. I had $400. After he left, I stood in my empty apartment and tried to think. I needed money. Fast. I could sell things. My TV, my furniture, my jewelry. I spent the next 4 hours selling everything I could on Facebook Marketplace. My television went for $200. My nice work clothes for $300. My grandmother's necklace, the one thing I'd inherited when she died, for $500. By midnight, I had $1,300, still $200 short. I sat on my floor, surrounded by empty space where my belongings used to be, and faced the truth. Even if I made rent this month, I'd be right back here in 30 days. I had no job prospects because my reputation was destroyed. I had no legal defense because I couldn't afford a lawyer. I had no family support because they'd believed Derek's lies. I was going to lose everything, my apartment, my freedom, my future, and there was nothing I could do about it. 5 days after the party, I woke up in my nearly empty apartment to my phone buzzing nonstop. I'd managed to scrape together enough money for this month's rent by selling everything I owned. But I was living on crackers and peanut butter, and my phone service was about to be cut off for non-payment. I picked up my phone and saw notifications exploding across the screen. Tags on social media. Texts from people I barely knew. Emails flooding my inbox. My hands went numb when I opened the first link. Business Insider Boston had published an article about me. The headline read, "Former tech director accused of billion-dollar data theft. The fall of Carol Parker." $1 billion? The lawsuit was for $2 million. Where had they gotten billion? I read the article with growing horror. It painted me as a calculating criminal who'd spent years worming my way into Marcus Blackwell's trust, all while planning to steal his company's most valuable secrets. It claimed I'd sold information to 3 different competitors. It suggested I was part of an organized corporate espionage ring. None of it was true. But it was all presented as fact. The article included a photo of me from a company event, looking professional and confident. The caption underneath read, "Parker, who sources describe as manipulative and deceitful. Sources. What sources? I scrolled to the comments section. Mistake. People like her are why companies can't trust employees anymore. Hope she rots in prison. She has such a punchable face. I bet she slept her way to that director position. Corporate thief trash. Over 3,000 comments. All of them vicious. Many of them threatening. My phone number was in the article. So was my home address. Within minutes of reading it, I got my first threatening call. You deserve to die. You corporate whore. I blocked the number. 3 more calls came immediately after. Different numbers. Same kind of threats. I turned off my phone, but it was too late. The damage was done. My face, my name, my supposed crimes were being shared across the internet. Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Reddit. People who'd never met me were calling for my arrest, for my death. I pulled on clothes and left my apartment, needing to get away, to think. Maybe I could find somewhere with free Wi-Fi, try to figure out how to respond to this nightmare. The diner 3 blocks from my apartment had always been my go-to spot. Cheap coffee, Wi-Fi, friendly waitstaff. I'd spent dozens of mornings there working on my laptop. I walked in and immediately noticed people staring. The waitress who'd always been nice to me looked away quickly. I sat in a corner booth and ordered coffee and toast. That was all I could afford. $2.50. The toast arrived, but before I could take a bite, I heard loud voices from the booth behind me. That's her. I'm telling you, that's the woman from the article. The corporate thief? Yeah. Carol Parker. Look at the photo. I hunched down, trying to make myself invisible. Can you believe the nerve? Showing her face in public? Someone should call the police. The manager appeared at my table. Frank, who'd always been kind, who'd once given me free pie on my birthday. Carol, I need you to leave. What? Why? I can't have you here. Customers are uncomfortable. I haven't done anything. There are articles about you. About what you did. I didn't do anything. I'm innocent. That's not what the news says. He put a hand on my shoulder. Not unkindly, but firm. I'm sorry, but you need to go. I stood up, face burning, and walked out while every person in the diner watched me leave. Behind me, someone said loudly, "Good riddance." I made it half a block before I started crying. My phone rang. I'd turned it back on like an idiot. Another unknown number. "Stop calling me," I screamed into it. "Carol? It's Diane Morgan. I'm a journalist with the Boston Tribune." I almost hung up. Then something made me pause. "What do you want?" "I want to hear your side of the story, the Business Insider article. Something about it doesn't add up. I've been covering corporate crime for 15 years, and this case has red flags all over it. You believe me?" "I didn't say that, but I'm willing to listen. Can we meet?" I had nothing to lose. I gave her the address of a park near my apartment. We agreed to meet in an hour, but first, I had to do something I'd been dreading. I had to face my parents one more time. I drove to their house in the suburbs. My car was running on fumes, the gas light glowing angry red. I couldn't afford to fill the tank. I knocked on the door. My mother answered, and her face immediately closed off. "Carol, I told you not to come here." "Mom, please, just listen to me. There's nothing to say. Derek is lying. He's the one who stole from Blackwell Industries. He and his girlfriend Jennifer. They set me up. Stop it." My mother's voice was sharp. "Stop blaming your brother for your mistakes." "They're not my mistakes," I was shouting now. Couldn't help it. "Why won't you believe me?" "Because Derek has evidence. Because everyone who worked with you says the same thing. Everyone Derek paid, or threatened to say those things." My father appeared behind my mother. "You need to leave, Carol." "Dad, you're disturbing the peace. You're upsetting your mother. If you don't leave right now, I'm calling the police." Through the window behind them, I saw Derek sitting in their living room. He saw me and stood up, pulling out his phone. "Mom, Dad, please, I'm your daughter. Our daughter wouldn't steal. Our daughter wouldn't lie." My mother's eyes were filled with tears. "I don't know who you are anymore." She closed the door in my face. I stood on their porch, staring at the door, and heard Derek's voice inside. "See? I told you she'd show up and play victim. This is classic narcissistic behavior. My therapist warned me about this." Derek's therapist. Derek, who'd systematically destroyed my life, was painting himself as the victim of his mentally unstable sister. I walked back to my car and saw Derek had called the police. A cruiser was pulling up to the curb. I got in my car and left before they could stop me. In my rearview mirror, I saw Derek standing on my parents' porch, waving to the officers, playing the concerned brother. I met Diane at the park. She was in her 50s, gray hair pulled back, sharp eyes that seemed to see right through me. "Tell me everything," she said. So I did. I told her about Derek's resentment, Jennifer's access to my accounts, Beth's phone call, the deleted files, the fake evidence. I told her about my family turning against me, about being framed for a crime I didn't commit. Diane took notes, asked questions, listened intently. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I believe you." I almost sobbed with relief. "You do?" "I've been investigating Blackwell Industries for a year. There have been 3 other employees accused of data theft in the past 18 months. All 3 cases involve Derek Parker somehow. He was either the one who discovered the theft, or he worked in the same department, or he provided testimony." 3 other people? All 3 cases were settled quietly. Employees paid restitution and left. But the pattern bothers me. I think Derek's been running a corporate espionage operation and framing other people when things get hot. Can you prove it? Not yet. I have suspicions, patterns, circumstantial evidence, but nothing solid. Nothing that would hold up in court or even make it past my editor for publication. My hope deflated. So you can't help me. I didn't say that. Diane leaned forward. Your court date is in 5 days. What if you wore a wire? What if you confronted Derek and got him to confess on tape? He'd never admit to anything. Men like Derek? They love to brag when they think they've won, especially to the people they've beaten. It was crazy. Dangerous. Derek could have me arrested for harassment. But what other choice did I have? "Okay," I said. "I'll do it." Diane smiled grimly. "Good, because I think you're the key to bringing down a serial corporate criminal, and I think your brother has made a lot of enemies. People who would love to see him fall." She pulled out a tiny recording device. "Tomorrow morning, meet him somewhere public. Stroke his ego. Make him think you're giving up, and get him talking." That night, I barely slept. I rehearsed what I'd say to Derek 100 different ways. Each scenario ended with him laughing in my face or calling the police. But I had to try. Because in 5 days I'd be standing in a courtroom with no lawyer, no defense, facing prison time for crimes I didn't commit. This wire was my last chance. The morning of the wire, I met Diane in a parking garage downtown. She helped me tape the tiny recording device under my shirt, showed me how to activate it, made me practice until I could do it without looking suspicious. 1 tap to start recording, 2 taps to stop, she reminded me. And Carol, be careful. If Derek realizes what you're doing, this could get dangerous. I know. I'll be monitoring from my car. If anything goes wrong, if you feel threatened, use the code word we discussed. Say Foundation, and I'll call the police immediately. I nodded, mouth too dry to speak. Derek had agreed to meet me for coffee. I'd texted him from a number he didn't recognize, pretending to be a mutual acquaintance who wanted to discuss the lawsuit. He'd responded immediately, probably thinking it was another person he could manipulate. When I walked into the coffee shop and he saw it was me, his face went through a series of expressions: surprise, anger, then a slow, satisfied smile. "Carol, I should have known. We need to talk." I kept my voice steady, even though my heart was hammering. He glanced around the coffee shop, probably making sure there were witnesses, in case I tried something. 5 minutes. We sat at a corner table. I tapped the recording device under my shirt, feeling it activate with a tiny vibration. "Derek, you won, okay? You beat me. I just want to understand why." He leaned back in his chair, completely relaxed. "Why what? Why you did this? Why you destroyed my life?" "I didn't destroy anything. You destroyed yourself." "We both know that's not true." He studied me for a moment, then shrugged. "You want to know why? Fine. Because you always got everything. Best grades in school, full scholarship to college. That director job that should have been mine, you weren't qualified for that job. I had 5 years seniority, but Marcus gave it to you because you were his golden girl. 28 years old, and already a director while I was stuck in sales. So you framed me for corporate espionage?" Derek smiled. "I prefer to think of it as creative problem solving. You had access to valuable information. I had contacts willing to pay for it. Jennifer had the technical skills to make it look like you were the thief. Everybody won." "Everybody won?" I'm facing prison. Well, not everybody won. He was actually enjoying this. But Carol, you have to admit, it was brilliant. 2 years of planning. Jennifer and I started dating right after she became your assistant. She got your passwords, your login credentials. We waited until you worked on something really valuable. That merger deal with TechVision? Worth $3 million to the right buyer. My blood ran cold. He was confessing everything. The Wire was getting all of it. You sold the merger data? To a Chinese tech company. They wanted to know TechVision's negotiation strategy. Jennifer pulled the files from your account. We made the sale, and then I reported you to Marcus. Perfect crime. 3 other employees at Blackwell Industries were accused of the same thing. Derek's smile widened. Oh, you found out about that? Yeah, Jennifer and I have a good system. We target someone with access to valuable data, frame them, make a profit, move on. We've made over $5 million in the past 2 years. And you're not afraid of getting caught? Who's gonna catch us? You? You're about to go to prison. The others settled quietly, because they didn't want the publicity. And Marcus trusts me now. In fact, he's promoting me to your old director position next week. He was so proud of himself, so confident. What about Mom and Dad? You turned them against me. That was easy. Mom and Dad always liked me better anyway. I just gave them a reason to admit it. Something in my chest cracked. We're family. Family? Derek laughed. Carol, you're competition. You always have been. And I just eliminated my competition. Permanently. He stood up, dropping a $5 bill on the table for his untouched coffee. Good talk, sis. See you in court. Oh wait, no I won't. I'm going to be too busy settling into my new office. He walked out, leaving me sitting there with the wire still recording under my shirt. I waited 5 minutes, then walked outside and found Diane's car. Did you get it? I asked as soon as I climbed in. She was staring at her laptop, face pale. Carol, the wire malfunctioned. What? Look. She showed me the audio file. It was corrupted, filled with static and gaps. You could hear voices, but nothing was clear enough to understand. Nothing was usable. No. He confessed to everything. I know. I heard it through the monitor, but the recording is destroyed. This happens sometimes with cheap equipment. I'm so sorry. I wanted to scream, to cry, to punch something. Derek had laid out his entire criminal operation, admitted to framing me and 3 other people, confessed to selling corporate secrets for millions of dollars. And none of it had been captured. What do I do now? Diane's phone rang. She answered, then her face went even paler. When? Are you sure? She hung up and looked at me with something like pity. That was my contact at Blackwell Industries. Jennifer Hart was just arrested trying to leave the country. She was stopped at Logan Airport with $200,000 in cash and a one-way ticket to Singapore. For a moment, I felt hope. Then they know. If Jennifer's arrested, they'll find the evidence. Carol, Jennifer is claiming you blackmailed her into helping you steal the data. She's testifying against you in exchange for a reduced sentence. The world tilted. What? Derek must have had a contingency plan. He's throwing Jennifer under the bus, but framing it so you're still the mastermind. But that makes no sense. Why would I flee the country and leave Jennifer behind? It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to create reasonable doubt about who the real criminal is. And right now, all the evidence still points to you. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Derek had planned for this. He'd set up Jennifer to take the fall if things went wrong, but structured it so I'd still be blamed. I need to talk to Marcus. I need to explain. Carol, wait. But I was already out of the car, already running toward Blackwell Industries headquarters. It was only 6 blocks away. I could get there, force my way into Marcus's office, make him listen. I ran the entire way, my lungs burning. I burst into the lobby and headed for the elevators. But security stopped me. I need to see Marcus Blackwell. It's an emergency. Do you have an appointment? No, but then I can't let you up. Please. I used to work here. I'm Carol Parker. I just need 5 minutes with Mr. Blackwell. The guard's expression changed. You're Carol Parker? Ma'am, you need to leave the building. Now. I just need to explain. Ma'am, I'm going to have to call the police if you don't leave immediately. I backed away, hands raised. Okay, I'm leaving. I made it outside before I collapsed on a bench, gasping for breath. Through the glass doors, I saw Marcus Blackwell stepping out of the elevator, surrounded by assistants and lawyers. He saw me through the window. For a moment, our eyes met. I saw something flicker across his face. Pity? Regret? Then his lawyer said something to him, and he turned away, got into a waiting car, left. He'd looked right at me and chosen not to help. I sat on that bench for an hour, watching employees come and go, hoping maybe someone would recognize me, would remember that I was good at my job, that I'd never been a thief. But everyone who glanced my way quickly looked away. My phone vibrated. A text from Beth, my former friend who still worked at Blackwell. "I'm so sorry. Derek just told HR you coerced me into helping you hack company servers. He has fake emails showing I was your accomplice. I've been fired. My husband is furious. My kids are crying. How could you involve me in this?" I tried to call her back. She'd blocked my number. Derek hadn't just destroyed me. He was destroying anyone who might help me. That night, I sat in my car in a dark parking lot, engine off to save gas, and faced the truth. The wire had failed. Jennifer was testifying against me. My family hated me. My only ally had been turned against me. My trial was in 3 days. I had no lawyer, no evidence, no hope. I could take Marcus's plea deal, plead guilty, serve 2 years, pay $50,000 I didn't have, admit to crimes I didn't commit, live the rest of my life as a convicted felon. Or I could fight in court with nothing, and probably go to prison for 10 years. Either way, Derek won. He got my job, my reputation, my family. He'd gotten away with millions of dollars and destroyed my life in the process. I put my head on the steering wheel and cried until I had no tears left. The night before my trial, I couldn't sleep. I sat in my car in a 24-hour parking lot, watching the clock tick toward morning, toward the moment my life would officially end. At 3 a.m, Diane Morgan tapped on my window, making me jump. "Can't sleep either?" she asked when I rolled down the window. "Not even a little. I've been working on your case. Carol, I think I have something." I followed her to a diner and we slid into a booth. She spread papers across the sticky table. Bank statements, wire transfers, screenshots of offshore accounts. Derek Parker has accounts in the Cayman Islands. 3 different banks. Over the past 2 years, he's deposited $5.7 million. "How did you get these?" "I have sources. Hackers who don't like corporate criminals." She smiled grimly. "Technically, this evidence wouldn't be admissible in court, but it's enough for me to write a story. Enough to start an investigation. But my trial is tomorrow. This doesn't help me. It will if Derek confesses. If we can get him on record admitting what he did, these financial records will back it up. He's not going to confess again. And even if he did, we don't have a working wire. So we won't use a wire." Diane pulled out her phone. "We'll use this. You confront him. I'll film from a distance. If he says anything incriminating, we'll have video proof. He'll never fall for it twice. He might if he thinks you're completely broken. If he thinks you're giving up." The plan was insane, but I had nothing left to lose. The next morning, I waited outside the courthouse in my only remaining professional outfit, the one I hadn't been able to sell because it had a coffee stain on the sleeve. Diane was across the street with a telephoto lens, pretending to photograph the building. Derek arrived in a BMW I'd never seen before. Brand new, probably paid for with stolen money. He got out wearing a suit that cost more than my monthly rent. When he saw me, he grinned. "Carol, ready for your big day?" "Derek, please. I can't do this. You win." He walked closer, smelling like expensive cologne. "I already won." "I know. I need to understand something. Why did you make Mom and Dad hate me? The corporate espionage was one thing, but turning our parents against me? We're family." "Family?" He actually laughed. "Carol, Mom and Dad always loved you more. You were the smart one, the successful one. They showed up to all your school events and missed half of mine. Do you know what that's like? Being the forgotten child? So you destroyed me to get their attention? I destroyed you because you deserved it. You had everything handed to you while I had to fight for scraps. That director job? I'd been at Blackwell for 3 years before you even applied. I should have gotten that promotion. You weren't qualified. Because Marcus was too busy praising his golden girl to notice me." Derek's voice rose. "People walking past turned to look. So yes, I stole your data and sold it. Jennifer and I made millions. And you know the best part? When I told Mom and Dad the truth last week, when I admitted everything, you know what Dad said?" My heart stopped. "What?" He said. "At least you're smart about it. At least you won't get caught like your sister did." "They knew, Carol. I told them everything 2 nights ago. They know I'm the thief. They just don't care." The words hit me like a physical blow. My parents knew. They knew Derek was guilty and they'd chosen him anyway. Why? My voice came out as a whisper. Because I'm the son. Because I'm successful now. Because they'd rather have a rich criminal for a son than a failure for a daughter. He checked his watch. Court starts in 20 minutes. I'm testifying against you. Jennifer's already struck her deal. By tonight, you'll be headed to prison, and I'll be moving into your old office. He started to walk away, then paused. Oh, and Carol? The Chinese company wants more data. I'm planning my next job. Figured I'd frame the new intern this time. Keep the money flowing. He walked up the courthouse steps, and I stood there shaking, watching him go. Diane appeared at my side. Did you get it? I asked. She showed me her phone screen. Clear video, perfect audio. Derek confessing to everything, admitting that our parents knew, boasting about planning to frame someone else. We've got him, she said. We ran up the courthouse steps. The bailiff tried to stop us. Trial starts in 15 minutes. You need to. We have evidence, Diane said, holding up her phone. New evidence that needs to be presented to the judge immediately. The bailiff looked skeptical but led us to a side room. A court clerk reviewed the video, eyes widening. I need to show this to the judge. We waited in that small room for what felt like hours but was probably only 20 minutes. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Finally, the door opened. But it wasn't the clerk. It was Marcus Blackwell, followed by 2 FBI agents. Miss Parker, Marcus said, his voice cold. I owe you an apology. The FBI agents walked past me, heading toward the courtroom. Through the small window in the door, I saw them approach Derek where he sat at the prosecution's table. His face went from smug to confused to terrified in the space of 3 seconds. Derek Parker, you're under arrest for corporate espionage, fraud, wire fraud, and conspiracy. Derek jumped up. This is a mistake. I'm testifying against Carol Parker. She's the criminal. One of the FBI agents held up a tablet. We have video of you confessing to multiple crimes this morning. We also have financial records showing over $5 million in offshore accounts. You have the right to remain silent. Derek's eyes found me through the window. For a moment, all his confidence, all his smugness was gone. Carol, tell them this is a misunderstanding. Tell them I didn't mean it. I'm your brother. I watched them cuff him, watched them lead him away, and I felt nothing but cold, hard satisfaction. Marcus turned to me. Miss Parker, Blackwell Industries is dropping all charges against you. Furthermore, we'll be issuing a formal apology and offering you compensation for wrongful termination and defamation. I failed you as an employer and as someone who should have investigated these allegations more thoroughly. You believed Derek without question. I did. And that's on me. Jennifer Hart has agreed to testify against Derek in exchange for a reduced sentence. She's provided us with evidence of 3 other employees Derek framed. We're working to clear their names as well. The courtroom doors opened and people started filing out, confused by the delay. My mother and father were among them. They saw me standing with Marcus and the FBI agents. Saw Derek being led away in handcuffs. My father's face went pale. What's happening? Your son is being arrested for the crimes he framed your daughter for, Marcus said coldly. I suggest you get him a very good lawyer. My mother rushed toward Derek. There must be some mistake. Derek would never. I confessed, Mom, Derek called back, his voice breaking. It was me. All of it. I stole the data. I framed Carol. I lied to you. But you said Carol? I lied. About everything. My mother turned to me, tears streaming down her face. Carol, honey, we didn't know. We thought. You knew, I said quietly. Derek told you 2 nights ago. You chose him anyway. That's not. We didn't understand. You understood perfectly. You just decided a successful criminal's son was better than an innocent daughter. I turned away from them and walked out of the courthouse. Diane followed, her camera still recording. Outside, I took my first deep breath in what felt like months. The charges were dropped. Derek was arrested. I was free. But I wasn't the same person who'd walked into that courthouse. I wasn't the Carol who'd believed in family loyalty and justice. I'd been broken down and rebuilt into something harder. Something that knew the truth about blood and loyalty. Behind me, I heard my mother calling my name. I didn't turn around. The trial never happened. With Derek's confession and Jennifer's testimony, the case against me collapsed entirely. Derek was charged with 15 counts, including corporate espionage, fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. Jennifer faced 10 counts. Both were denied bail as flight risks. The day after Derek's arrest, I stood outside Blackwell Industries headquarters again. This time, Marcus's assistant called and asked me to come up. His office hadn't changed. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, expensive art on the walls, the smell of expensive coffee. Marcus stood when I entered, which surprised me. "Miss Parker, thank you for coming. You said you had an offer." He gestured to a chair. "I want to offer you your old position back as Director of Strategic Development. Double your previous salary, full back pay for the 3 months you were unemployed, and a formal public apology from Blackwell Industries. We'll also cover any therapy or counseling you need after this ordeal." I sat down, but I didn't feel the relief I'd expected. "You fired me based on false accusations. You never investigated. You just believed Derek." "You're right. I failed you as an employer and as a leader." Derek was convincing, and I didn't dig deeper. That's my responsibility. "He framed 3 other employees before me. Did you investigate those cases?" Marcus had the grace to look ashamed. "No, we didn't. We accepted Derek's reports at face value. All 3 of those employees have been contacted and offered compensation as well. So you built a culture where someone like Derek could thrive, where employees could be framed and fired without real investigation. And now you want me to come back to that environment? I want you to come back and help me fix it. We're implementing new security protocols, mandatory investigations for any accusation of theft or espionage, anonymous reporting systems, third-party audits." He leaned forward. "Carol, you understand what went wrong here better than anyone. Help me make sure it never happens again." I thought about it. The old Carol would have jumped at this offer. The director position, the salary, the vindication. But I wasn't the old Carol anymore. "I'll think about it," I said. "But I'm not making any promises." Marcus nodded, respecting that. "The offer stands. Whenever you're ready." As I left his office, I ran into Beth in the hallway. She stopped, her face flushing with shame. "Carol, I'm so sorry. Derek showed me fake emails that made it look like you'd involved me. I should have trusted you. Derek's good at manipulation. It's not your fault. I got fired because of him." My husband was furious. "The FBI is investigating to see if I did anything wrong, but my lawyer thinks I'll be cleared." "You will be." Derek kept meticulous records of everyone he framed. "You're a victim, same as me. I heard Blackwell offered you your job back." "They did. Are you going to take it?" "I don't know yet." We hugged. And for the first time in months, I felt like I had a friend again. That afternoon, Diane Morgan took me to lunch. She'd already published her article exposing Derek's corporate espionage ring. It had gone viral. National news outlets were picking it up. Derek's face was everywhere, but this time as the criminal, not the victim. "You're famous," Diane said, grinning. "In a good way this time." "I don't want to be famous. I want my life back." "What if I told you that you could help other people like you? People who've been framed, blackmailed, destroyed by corporate criminals?" I looked up from my menu. "What do you mean?" "Work with me. Investigative journalism. You understand corporate culture from the inside. You know how these schemes work. Together, we could expose corruption, help victims, bring down criminals like Derek." It wasn't what I'd planned for my life. But then again, nothing about the past few months had been part of my plan. "I'm interested," I said. "Tell me more." Over the next few weeks, my life slowly rebuilt itself. Diane hired me as a consultant for her investigative journalism firm. We started working on a case involving pharmaceutical fraud. I was good at it, I realized. Understanding corporate structures, following money trails, seeing patterns others missed. Marcus called 3 times, each time sweetening his offer. But I didn't take it. I didn't want to go back to that world. My apartment was still mostly empty, but I didn't mind. I bought a new couch, some kitchen supplies, kept things simple. I'd learned I didn't need much. Beth's legal troubles cleared up. She got a job at a competitor company, one with better ethics policies. We started having coffee every week, rebuilding our friendship. 4 weeks after Derek's arrest, I got a letter from my parents. They wanted to talk, to apologize, to explain. I almost threw it away. But something made me read it. "Dear Carol, we know we failed you. We believed Derek because we wanted to believe him. He was struggling, and you were always so capable. We thought you could handle anything. We were wrong. We chose the easy path, the one that didn't challenge our view of ourselves as good parents. We're sorry. We love you. We hope someday you can forgive us." I sat with that letter for a long time. Eventually, I called them. We met for coffee in a neutral location. It was awkward, painful, they cried. I didn't. I'm not ready to forgive you, I told them honestly. You chose Derek even after he confessed. That's not something I can just get over. We understand, my father said. We'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. It's going to take time. Maybe years, maybe never. We'll wait, my mother said. We started slow. Coffee once a month, brief phone calls, no expectations, no pressure. They were trying, at least. That was something. Derek's trial was set for 6 months later. Jennifer's was scheduled 2 months after his. Both faced significant prison time. The FBI had uncovered evidence of Derek's schemes going back 3 years. 8 victims total. Millions of dollars in stolen data. I was called to testify at Derek's trial. I walked into that courtroom in a new suit, head high, no longer the frightened, desperate woman who'd almost been convicted. Derek looked small in his orange jumpsuit, defeated. When our eyes met, he looked away first. I told my story. The frame job, the deleted files, the destroyed relationships. The clerk played the video of Derek's confession. The jury looked horrified. Derek's lawyer tried to argue he'd been coerced, that he hadn't meant what he said. But the evidence was overwhelming. Bank records, testimony from Jennifer, statements from the other victims, digital forensics showing exactly how he'd framed each person. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. They found him guilty on all 15 counts. At sentencing, the judge gave him 18 years in federal prison. You betrayed your employer, your colleagues, and most shamefully, your own sister. You destroyed lives for personal profit. You showed no remorse, only arrogance. This sentence reflects the severity of your crimes. Derek didn't cry, didn't show emotion. He just nodded, like he'd expected it. As they led him away, he looked at me one last time. I'm sorry, he mouthed. He didn't respond. Some apologies come too late. 6 months after the trial, I was sitting in my office at Diane's firm when Amanda, Derek's ex-wife, called me. Carol? I don't know if you remember me. I remember. How are you? Better. The divorce is final. I wanted to thank you for exposing Derek. He made my life hell for years. Gaslighted me, controlled my money, isolated me from friends. I thought I was going crazy. I'm sorry you went through that. I'm starting a support group for people who've been gaslighted or manipulated by family members. Would you want to join? Maybe share your story? I thought about it. About all the people out there who were being manipulated, framed, destroyed by people they trusted. People who felt alone and powerless like I had. Yes, I said. I'd like that. The support group met every Tuesday. 12 people at first, then 20, then 40. People who'd been betrayed by spouses, parents, siblings, friends. We shared our stories. We helped each other heal. I told them what I'd learned. Blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. Family isn't who you're born to. It's who stands by you when everything falls apart. The people who believe you when everyone else calls you a liar. The people who fight for you when you can't fight for yourself. A year after Derek's arrest, Marcus called again. I'm not offering you a job this time. I'm asking for your help consulting on a new ethics program. We want to create industry-wide standards for investigating corporate crime. We want your input. This time I said yes. Not to go back to Blackwell Industries, but to help create change. To make sure what happened to me didn't happen to others. I worked with legislators on new whistleblower protection laws. I testified before Congress about corporate espionage and employee rights. I helped draft policies that dozens of companies adopted. Derek had tried to strip away my dignity, my career, my family, my future. But in destroying my old life, he'd accidentally freed me to build something better. Something meaningful. I wasn't just Carol Parker, former corporate director anymore. I was Carol Parker, advocate, investigator, survivor. My relationship with my parents improved slowly. We'd never be what we were before, but we found a new normal. Monthly dinners. Honest conversations. They went to therapy to understand why they'd chosen Derek over me. They put in the work. Beth and I became close again. She introduced me to her husband and kids. We celebrated holidays together. She was the sister I should have had. Diane became my mentor and friend. We broke major stories together, exposed corruption, helped victims, made a difference. 2 years after the nightmare began, I stood at a podium giving a keynote speech at a conference on corporate ethics. The audience was full of executives, lawyers, HR professionals, people with the power to change things. I told them my story, Not to make them feel sorry for me, but to show them what happens when systems fail. When people believe accusations without investigation. When profit matters more than truth. I lost everything, I said. My job, my family, my reputation, my savings. I was accused of crimes I didn't commit by someone I trusted, and the systems that should have protected me failed. I looked out at the sea of faces. But I survived. I fought back. I proved my innocence. And now I'm here to make sure you never let this happen to your employees. Because the next Carol Parker who walks into your office might not be as lucky as I was. They might not have a Diane Morgan to believe them. They might not catch their Derek on camera confessing. The audience applauded. After the speech, dozens of people came up to share their own stories. To ask for advice. To tell me I'd inspired them. That night, lying in my apartment with my rescue cat curled up beside me, I reflected on how far I'd come. From standing in that restaurant listening to Derek mock me, to here, to peace, to purpose. Derek had thought he could destroy me. He'd thought by taking everything I had, he'd win. But he'd forgotten something important. When you strip away everything someone thinks they are, job, status, family approval, you give them the chance to discover who they actually are. And I'd discovered I was stronger than I ever knew. My brother tried to strip away my dignity, my career, my family. Instead, he stripped away my illusions. And in the end, that set me free. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, if you've ever been accused of something you didn't do, if you've ever felt like the whole world was against you, I want you to know something. You're not alone. And you're stronger than you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever experienced betrayal from someone close to you? How did you get through it? Share your story in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more true stories about overcoming the impossible. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's going through their own dark time and needs to know there's light on the other side. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you remember that no matter how dark things get, no matter how impossible victory seems, you have the strength to survive. You have the power to rebuild. And sometimes, the people who try to destroy you end up giving you the greatest gift, the chance to become who you were always meant to be. Take care of yourselves, believe in yourselves, and never let anyone convince you that you're less than you are.